The trilogy is complete, although I would say this is really more of an Empire, less of a Jedi. Only 30% of you will understand what that means. Welcome back to the Scale Builders Guild. Thanks again for watching. Today we're taking a first look, run, and review of the new Traxxas Mini Slash. And here it is right here, right next to its other mini brethren, all part of the same family because they're all basically on the same chassis. There are a lot of differences though on the Mini Slash 4x4, and I'm going to go through all of them with you today, and we're going to take it out and take it for a rip. So stick around for that if that's something that you're interested in. And if you are, hit the like button while we're at it. Let's get right into it. So this is Traxxas's latest version of a mini chassis. And while they are very similar, there are a lot of differences that make the Slash 4x4 a pretty different vehicle, both in its driving dynamics and its overall chassis layout and structure and construction and bits. So let's talk about those things. First, we gotta get rid of the old Mini Max and the Mini XRT, which I also very much like. And we'll focus all of our attention on the Mini Slash. Now, like I said, this is based on the same platform. You can look underneath and see that they are very similar chassis, but there are some significant differences. One, of course, this one, the new Mini Slash, is not nearly as wide as the XRT or the Mini Max, mostly because the suspension arms are shorter. One other major difference, the length, the overall wheelbase of this truck is substantially longer than the XRT and the Mini Max, and that was to, of course, make it a lot more stable, seeing that it is a narrower, more scale-looking kind of truck. You can see that there are some nice details, and they've done a pretty good job of recreating them in a smaller scale. There's this nice big plastic front bumper here, sort of to serve as a bit of a protection against the whole chassis. And it does have one of these rings sort of style inserts, so it does compress quite nicely, and it will protect the front of the chassis. Same thing going on in the rear. There is a rear plastic bumper as well with the same style of sort of impact resistant plastic ring. It's a nice way to keep some scale detail but also add some protection at the same time. A scaled down Slash body. Biggest difference here is that we do have a molded interior with driver, which I think looks pretty darn good. They've even got a nice little window net in the front here, and that's sort of a flexible plastic. It's not like a TPU flexible plastic, but it is flexible. There are some protections for the body, some ribs along the top of the roof there to help protect it in a rollover. The one other thing to note about that interior, and I'll try to get a close-up shot of this, there are multiple cutouts for air ducting, or directing cooler air to the motor and ESC. There's one very large one in the center with a smaller one underneath it, and then there is another one where a passenger seat might be to direct airflow into the ESC and motor assembly there as well. On the back here, we've got some nice decals. All of these decals on the back here had to be applied by me. I think that's how they're all going to come, I'm pretty sure anyway. Same thing with the taillights, but it has some nice scale-looking details in there and kind of completes the whole look of what a Slash 4x4 just scaled down might look like. I do love that they added an interior. I do love that they added some ducts for cooling. That's one of the things I added to my Mini XRT, was this fan assist air duct that goes right down into the ESC and motor area. It definitely helps keep things cooler. I haven't had any trouble with overheating, even on this VXL system, but it is something to keep in mind. Speaking of, this is a not VXL system. This is a brushless BL2S system, which is going to give you about 30 miles per hour, as it says so on the box, on 2S. It is not 3S capable, which leads me to believe there will be a 3S VXL version of the Mini Slash 4x4 at some point in the future. Let's get this body off. I'll show you one of the big changes there. Usually you'd expect the come hither motion to be here under the fenders, but they've moved all of that to the center of the chassis here. And you give them the come hither motion, and that whole body comes off in one piece. There is some nice bracing in there, mostly due to that larger injection molded interior that will help keep a lot of strength and rigidity in this body. It is quite strong, except up front and in the rear. There is a lot of movement there. I'm hoping that this front bumper is going to help keep that front whole half of the body intact. But lots of rigidity here in the center, at least. Moving on to the chassis, as you can see, very similar layout to the Mini XRT and Mini Max. Everything is in exactly the same places. The only, and they are quite major differences, are these suspension arms and the overall length. So this whole front bulkhead and this whole bulkhead in the rear are longer than a standard Mini Max or Mini XRT. That is to give you an overall more stable chassis, because it is quite narrow. It's a lot narrower than these guys. As you can see, it's almost like, I'd say, going nut to nut, it's about 3 inches narrower overall, which is a substantial amount. One of the major interesting things about the wheel and tire package, this is a licensed tire, the BF Goodrich KM3, which is a nice off-road tire. But let's get these wheels and tires off so I can share one of the major differences here between its predecessors, the Mini XRT and the Mini Max. Looks pretty normal from the front here. It has a sort of a faux beadlock, and of course this is a glued-on tire. But when you turn it around here, there's a significant less amount of tire around the exterior rim. Now, this is quite typical in short course trucks or off-road buggies, but you don't see it a lot in the scale world, or even in the basher world for that matter. But what's interesting about these is that there is no foam in here. This is all tire. There is a perpendicular insert that is built into the inside of the tire to give it some flex and to give it some cushion. But otherwise, there is nothing in there. They're quite hard. And I'm a bit shocked at how firm this makes this tire feel. And it still does have some play, and you can see there's some flex in there on that sidewall. I feel like this is going to deliver a very firm ride. Like it's almost, it feels like there's not enough give. But, you know, without actually driving it yet, I can't say for sure how it's going to react. One other benefit to not using a foam on the inside of the tire is that foam won't degrade over time, it won't get waterlogged, and it can run in multiple environments, and these tires will perform exactly the same in all of them. So that's actually a pretty interesting take. It's almost like a 3D printed insert, but it's part of the tire. I wonder if that's a trend that would catch on. Interesting take, Traxxas. I will say that it does have enough plush suspension. There's still travel in the suspension, as you can see. But it certainly isn't as much as the XRT or the Mini Max. It's definitely set up less for extreme off-road. I'm imagining this is going to handle a lot better on tarmac, pavement, nothing polished, of course, but I think it's probably designed to be more of a hard-packed surface than it would be sort of like loose dirt or grass. I bet you in the loose dirt, though, it'll probably get some fun drifts going. So yeah, your shocks are shorter than they are on the other two Mini variants. Its wheelbase is longer, its track width is narrower, and it's got a BL2S 3300 kV brushless setup. One other thing to note, 2056 waterproof servo, which I believe is one of the plastic geared servos. I'm going to double check that for you. One other major difference is because those shocks front and rear are shorter, it definitely has a much lower center of gravity than the Mini XRT and the Mini Max. It's not designed for big jumps or stunts. It's designed to perform much more like a Slash. Although I've seen those get some pretty big air too. It's always easy and satisfying to get those clip-free bodies on. It really is a nice way to have it set up. Now, it does come in a few different colors. This is orange and blue. It also comes in that yellow and blue, a pink, purple, and a green blue as well. So a little bit of choice there if this isn't your cup of tea. In the box, along with the Mini 4x4 Slash, you also get a top qualifier radio. This is the bottom of the barrel in terms of radios for Traxxas, but it gets the job done. I will say it's time for a radio update, Traxxas. I would love to see something new from you. It's been a long time coming. Not a lot of adjustment on this. You get steering trim. That's about it. You also get a 3500 milliamp hour 2S LiPo battery, which will give you a pretty decent runtime with this system. You also get a nice color quick start guide, the very important warranty card, a small selection of tools including a few hex wrenches and a T-wrench, a whole pile of shock adjustment collars, which could come in quite handy, I think, to increase some travel, or at least some suspension rebound, and a little USB-C charger. For a size comparison, I thought I'd compare it to the Arrma Mojave Grom. This is the miniature little 2S trophy truck that Arrma makes, and you can see it's substantially smaller than the Mini Slash 4x4. Traxxas is definitely leveraging their mini platform. This is the third vehicle that they've offered in, I think, the span of 365 days. It really does capitalize on the popularity of their larger scale models, just in a smaller package. These are a great place to begin. If you're looking at getting started in this hobby, I can't think of a better place than the Traxxas ecosystem because they do offer so many great upgrades and accessories. It really is kind of a no-brainer. And speaking of leveraging, I wouldn't be leveraging this video if I didn't mention the YouTube channel membership. All of these gold level ding-dongs participate on a monthly basis and get access to all sorts of behind-the-scenes content, tips and tricks, how-tos, travel logs, all sorts of additional content, and even giveaways that aren't for the regular YouTube viewers. So if you have any interest in that, there will be a link down below. It helps support the channel and allows me to bring you more excellent content. It's a win-win for everybody. And I just did an amazing trip that has an amazing video attached to it. You should definitely check that out if you haven't already. Thank you to all of these ding-dongs for participating. It's a great small-knit community, and it's an excellent way to get a little more exposure to the Scale Builders Guild. All right. You can see that suspension travel isn't too bad. It does sound overall firmer, if that's a way that it could be described. Certainly damps nicely. It's got decent dampening, but I don't feel like this is going to be an absolute pump track killer. So we'll start off with a little less aggressive terrain. Let's go outside, see how it does.
All right, here we are outside with the Traxxas Mini Slash 4x4. We're in a school yard. There's a bit of this sort of dirt situation going on and lots of pavement. So kind of seemed fitting for the Mini Slash 4x4, as this is definitely probably the right type of environment for it. So let's give it a rip, see how it is. And of course it's raining today, so we'll get to test its waterproof sort of capabilities, or water resistant capabilities anyway, and give it a proper go in an environment that I think suits it quite well. Oh yeah, all right. Ooh, that's good. Oh yeah. Those hard tires are definitely where it's at. Oh, nice little controlled drift. This is nice. I like that. Whoa! Oh, the body came clear off. That was a bit aggressive of a jump. Make sure, maybe I didn't put those clips on properly. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. It sounds like it's clipped in. All right. Ooh, that was a bit of a hit. We are definitely testing its durability today. That's without a doubt. Nice. Oh, look at that. Nice, smooth drifting. Just like I sort of half thought there would be because of those hard tires. That's nice. I like how this is reacting. Now, I've taken out the little Grom. I've taken out the Typhon Grom, which is 3S capable, and it's also substantially faster than this Traxxas Mini Max Slash. But I will say that the speed this has, and there is no stability control, it feels like, for the size that it is, that's the speed you'd want it to go. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. Those little tires, even in the wet, seem to be doing a pretty decent job. Plenty of power on 2S. Yeah, I like that. That's nice. I was worried because its track width is so much more narrow than the Mini Max or the Mini XRT that it would be harder to control, but I find it's actually a little bit easier to control, if I'm honest. Definitely not meant for big air. Yeah, as you can see, even like a slight variation in pavement is going to get it a little bit out of shape. Again, this is another place where I thought it would do quite well, is in this sort of like slightly loamy sort of surface. Yeah, it's really at home on the pavement. I would say that's where it sort of is definitely going to shine. Or like a hard pack clay, that might be another good place for it. But it certainly soaks up the bumps pretty well, as long as they're not too big. But yeah, as expected in this, anything that isn't a hard pack surface, it's gonna obviously not have as much traction because those tires are pretty small and pretty hard. There's not a ton of tread. There's just not much tread on there. So yeah, even in something like this, it's struggling because it is quite a bit softer. But I like it. I think it's a cute, fun, good place to start in this hobby. And it's funny, I don't miss traction control. Look at that. That's plenty fast. Wow. The lower suspension, lower CG, yeah, that's a fun little truck. That's more fun than I honestly anticipated, if I'm honest. That's great. And certainly durable, as we saw. I managed to hit things quite aggressively with it. Not unexpected for me. You know me, I'm not the best driver in the whole world, but I'm not the worst either. So yeah, nice scale looks, lots of cooling vents, cool little body, nice little accessories to make it feel more like a trophy truck, like the integrated window net, interior panel, front kind of bar, bumper at the bottom there, decals, and this rear plastic bumper also kind of make it feel very trophy truck inspired. It's a good looking little truck, and it performs pretty darn well, I must say, on 2S no less. It'd be fun to see a whole bunch of these on like a track, all going around together at the same time, doing a little race. That would be super fun. Yeah, that's a great looking little truck. Yeah, you can hear from that chassis slap that it's not really designed for extreme jumps, but still looks pretty good when it's jumping. Pretty controlled. Ooh, a little nose heavy maybe on that one there, but yeah, that's great fun. Ooh. Maybe that's a good place to end this review here with the Traxxas Mini Slash 4x4. Very fun little truck. If you like these minis, oh, I think we've got some weeds in the. We're in the weeds, guys. We're in the weeds. Oh, that's wrapped right around the axle. All right, that's going to require some effort to undo. There we go. Is this something you're interested in? If it is, throw a comment down below. I love going through all those comments, love participating in the chat. And yeah, let me know if you're gonna be getting one of these little mini slashes. Getting decent runtime out of this too. Whee! That's great. I think, you know, at this scale, 30 miles per hour, if that is in fact how fast it's going, is totally reasonable for this size. Oh yeah. Love it. I think that's going to do it though. Thank you so much to Traxxas for sending the Mini Slash 4x4 so I could do this review. And of course, to you for watching. We'll see you again soon.